Welcome to PRAJNA SPARKS special series 59 Days of Healing, where we explore one maxim from the Tibetan Lojong text, 7 points for healing dualistic mind, each day to integrate the practice into our lives. Today is day 18, and we're working with point 4, Enrich Every Moment. Maxim 18 reads, the previous 5 forces are vital at the time of death, so your daily practice is decisive. The previous 5 forces are impetus, habituation, wholesome seeds, refraining, and aspiration we looked at yesterday with Maxim 17 as forces that are important in enriching every moment of our life. What Maxim 18 is saying is, at the time of death, these very same 5 forces are vital. So to the extent that you've been putting them into practice throughout your daily life, when the inevitable moment of our death arrives, these 5 forces are wonderful allies, supports for that transition, ready and waiting to be called on as we need them. There's not a lot more to say about these 5 forces. They literally are exactly the same as the ones we spoke about yesterday. The difference is that, of course, at the time of death, there is a very specific application for them. Tibetan Buddhist practice has a very rich body of understandings, rituals, and rites for the time of death. And you may or may not buy into the philosophy behind it. What matters is we will all meet the time of death. It's the kind of thing which in our culture we don't spend a lot of time thinking about normally. Our culture doesn't place a premium on preparing for the actual moment of death. There are a lot of lawyers who will take your money to the estate plan for that moment. There aren't a lot of supports for what is it like? What will I need? What will help me? What happens next? This is the province traditionally of religion in all the different traditions in the world. Tibetan Buddhist tradition describes this moment of death as the height of opportunity in our life for precisely the reason described in these maxims. If we've been working on recognizing our impetus and shaping it into an intention that aligns with our highest aspirations, then we can do the same at the moment of death, intending for whatever is happening to actually bring peace to our mind, to support our loved ones also suffering as we pass or after we pass. It brings a sense of purpose to even this moment of death. In a particularly Tibetan Buddhist context, there is a sound understanding that the moment of death in this life is not just the end of this life, but the beginning of a continued existence and what's called the bardo in Tibetan, an interval between the death in one life and rebirth in the next, and then, of course, the following rebirth. Another way to think about this is none of us really knows what's going to happen. We have strong beliefs, perhaps, or maybe we're agnostic about it. In any case, wherever we incline our minds, impetus brings great peace, great joy, and great purpose. If we have a grounding in the Tibetan Buddhist teachings on rebirth, then impetus is vital in serving as a propelling force for a positive experience in the transition and possibly rebirth of another life. Habituation at the time of death means exactly that. If we're in the habit of turning our minds towards the positivity that is already present, to the infinite potentiality of all things, then we don't get stuck in the tunnel vision that can sometimes make this momentous point of our life very scary, painful, difficult for ourselves and others. Wholesome seeds and refraining from negativity relates to that sense that on our deathbed, We don't regret the goodness of our life. We regret the things that we didn't quite live up to our own highest aspirations. By planting wholesome seeds and refraining from negativity in our life, this rejoicing in our positivity and having less remorse lingering over us makes this time of death, again, a lot smoother for ourselves and others. Aspiration, of course, just as in life, at the time of death, we can say, may this moment, this time of death, lead to the best possible continuation for me. Even if we're experiencing a death that is difficult or painful, we might even say, in the spirit of open handed welcome, Tonglen, may all the pain I am experiencing, may all the fear I experience, bring in all the pain and suffering of all beings at this moment so they don't have to experience it. And this could be it. Let me feel it all for them. This is incredibly brave, incredibly powerful, and an aspiration that propels us forward in a very positive, open-hearted, and warm way.
Thank you for that instruction. I know that you're right that we don't have all of the guidance that we need, probably generally, for going into the end of life, which is something that every one of us will experience. And I often think about, we talk about impermanence within Buddhism and that there are so many experiences of impermanence along the way that can also help to prepare us for death. And so I was thinking about one of the things that I do with impermanence is just try to notice it and embrace opportunities to see things as impermanence that when I'm unhappy about them. Like the way I always think about it is whenever Trader Joe's discontinues an item. It's so frustrating. I'm so sad and I miss, my body lotion for years after that, but I think, okay, here's another opportunity to practice impermanence and to get used to impermanence because this is just the nature of things. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about applying these 5 forces to those other kinds of experiences of impermanence to practice in preparation for death.
The contemplation of our own mortality is the practice of impermanence that can be most transformative in our lives. We all hear stories of people who find out that they have very little time to live, and that changes them in very glorious ways instead of difficult ways. It provides an impetus for their actions in the rest of their life that's very clarifying. It brings more appreciation and joy, the habituation to how priceless this existence is, not just because of the death sentence. It's been that way all along. It's like that for us right now. We're just not habituated to connecting with that. The impermanence of this life can help us to have a greater appreciation for how priceless it is, for how incredible the opportunities we have to be warm and giving to ourselves and others, and to prepare the way, the time ahead. That's not to say that we only ever think about the future, some kind of horizon out there. It's that right within the present, incorporating the transcendent right within what's present brings a vitality to our moment here and now. That sense of things slipping through our fingers can actually help us to be softer, to not be so quick to anger, and so forth. What is that? This is refraining from negativity and instead planting wholesome seeds. In addition, that sense of mortality can sharpen and bring more creativity and joyfulness to our aspirations. None of us knows if we're going to be here tomorrow. We're recording this well in advance of when it will drop. Neither one of us knows if we're going to be around to listen on that day. That urgency, that poignancy can make those aspirations fly so that we can really fuel our mind with the highest of high aspirations, not just limit ourselves to small things, but find the highest of things right within the everyday. All of these are helped by considerations of impermanence at the time of death. There's a sense of urgency, of opportunity, and of appreciation that they bring.
This has been Yeshe and Tanya on day 18 of PRAJNA SPARKS special series, 59 Days of Healing. Tune in daily for more maxims from the Tibetan Lojong text, 7 Points for Healing Dualistic Mind. Check the episode notes for more resources and email us at sparks@prajnafire.com with any questions. May all beings benefit.